How many of you will say, I have a different idea? That's usually my first response, just to be honest. But I love it when I can say, tell me and I will go. I love it when I can say yes, when that's my first reaction. I like it when it's my fifth reaction. I like being able to do it because at that moment I get the freedom that is mine for the taking. That way I get to be what I truly am, a spiritual being, right? It's a beautiful song. Thank you so much. We're in our 6th week of our 9-week series. It's a long series, right? 9 weeks. I don't recall there being such a long one before, but I've been loving it. It's based on this book, What Are You? By Imelda Shanklin. It is a Unity classic book. And the interesting thing is when Reverend Cynthia Alice introduced it to us, she said it was one of the 2 most important books in Unity. And honestly, I had not heard of it before. So I was seeing it for the first time when I was sitting there, and she introduced it to us. In the last service, I said when she introduced it to me, because of course she's only really speaking to me when I'm in there. But anybody else feel that way? She's always telling me exactly what I need to hear. But I had never heard of it before. Of course, I got it right away and started reading it, and I have to tell you, I love it. Are some of you reading the book? Following along? It's awesome, right? It was written a very long time ago, and it's some old English phrasing that we don't use anymore, but it's beautifully poetic and spot on. She is reminding me weekly of exactly what I need to know, and I appreciate that very much in this book. The very first week was about the title, What Are You? Not the who of who we are, not the mothers, the daughters, the workers, partners, but the what of who we are, that we are spiritual beings, that we are the divine idea in God's mind. I've been telling myself, I've taken this from one of William Shine's interpretations. William is one of our longtime members here, and he does beautiful metaphysical interpretations of Scripture. And one of his interpretations is that, and excuse me if I don't get it exactly perfect, but I love it and it works for me, and I've been using it a lot these past few weeks. I am the unique creative expression of the universal source of all life. I am the unique yet creative expression of the source, the universal source of all life. I am God's expression. I love that. So that's what I've been using. When I've been answering the question for these past few weeks, what am I? That's the answer that I've been using. And I'm going to cheat with the table of contents from the book, because 6 weeks is just too long for me to remember. So I'm going to use it as a cheat sheet. The second week was, you are what you think. And we know that one, right? We understand that one to be our second unity principle, that we manifest our reality based on what we think. As within, so without. The law of mind action. If we don't like what we're manifesting out here, then we need to change something inside and manifest something different. What we think is a direct expression of what's happening in our lives. We have dominion over our lives at every moment based on what we're thinking and feeling. Right? Amen. That's the good news and the bad news, right? The good news is that we're responsible then. We're not being victims of anything else or anyone else. We are responsible for our experiences. The good news is that we can make a choice to change it at any time. If all we're doing is changing our attitude, we have the choice. So that's the good news. The third week is our consciousness. And I really love that. This was something brand new for me when Reverend Cynthia Alice said, come up every day with 10 things that you do not think are possible. when I heard it the first time, I thought, now I sit through 2 services every Sunday, right? So the first time I heard it, I went, she said that backward. That's not what she really meant. She would come up with 10 things you know are possible. But no, she said, come up with 10 things that you do not believe are possible. And I thought, okay. But in doing that, what we do is we expand our consciousness. We introduce new ideas to our consciousness that perhaps we think are not possible, when really we know that everything is possible. Everything is possible in God's world, right? We have everything that we need to do anything that we want to do today. Everything is possible. Now, we don't know necessarily what it's going to look like when it gets here, how it's going to get here, when it's going to get here, or what all the particulars are, but everything is possible. So just by admitting to myself that I actually had a list of 10 things that I didn't think were possible, suddenly expanded my mind and opened my consciousness to the awareness that, oh, I am causing some limitations in my own mind. And then through experiencing the manifestation of some of these things happening in my life, I get to recognize yet one more time that I do create my experience. Wonderful stuff. And I love real versus fictitious. Excuse me. I put a little accent on that T. Fancied or real? How many use that expression? Yeah. Fancied or real? Real, does anybody remember what real was? Real is the realm of God. Okay. Real is the realm of God. Everything else is fictitious. Everything else are the stories that we tell ourselves. Everything else is I'm not good enough. There isn't going to be enough. I can't have that because somebody else got it. Somehow or another, I'm going to fail. My children are going to fail. I mean, I can go on and on with the list because I use them. I'm trying to pay better attention because I've been reminded yet again that I have to pay attention to the things that I tell myself. I call them the lies I tell myself. These are not the truths. These are the lies that I tell myself and convince myself of when I get afraid. And I can get afraid that fast without even thinking hard about it. I can be having a good time over in that front of that building, and I can be scared by the time I turn the corner up here in the grass. And then I have to remind myself, all's good. I have everything I need. I am that unique creative expression. I can't fail at being me. No one can be me better than me. And I love in this book, she reminds us that we have to remember that we aren't anybody else, and that we can't be anyone else, that we would be no good at being someone else, and that no one can be us. Which brings us actually to my chapter. And the title of my chapter is Your Objectives. And I have to tell you, when I read the chapter, I was thinking, did Cynthia Alice know she was going away on this week? Did she plan this so that this would be my week? I am so all over this chapter, I can hardly even stand it. Your objectives. What's an objective? Tell me what an objective is. Goal. Yep. She tells us, the author tells us, your objective is what you supremely wish to do, what you most ardently wish to become, what, with the utmost passion of your soul, you endeavor to achieve within yourself. With the utmost passion of your soul, you endeavor to achieve within yourself. That's your objective. Then she tells us also that your objective is the most important consideration in life. Is that all? Just the most important consideration in our lives is our objective. She says, who wants to get up in the morning and jump on a boat that has no plan of where it's going? You guys don't want to, right? You want to know where the boat's going. She says, if you get up in the morning and don't have a plan, then there's nothing to get excited about. And if you don't have a plan and you don't get excited about your day, then when you follow through on your day and you accomplish a part of your day, then you don't get that excitement that comes with having done good works for that day. She tells us that the promise of having an objective for the day is this: the magnificent unrest, the goading joy, the tingle that comes of matching adequacy with need will be yours when you choose a work, swear before high heaven to do the work, and then in strength of heaven set about doing. You know, I had forgotten. I had got to thinking that I'm just busy. I forgot that I am living objectives every day. I forgot that ardent joy. I forgot. And I'm so happy that she reminded me. People tell me a lot that they don't know what they want to do when they grow up. I don't bother to tell them that I haven't grown up yet and I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. But I do tell them that really they do know what they want to do when they grow up. We all know what we want to do. Because what we do and the objectives that we make and what is ours to do is only moment by moment. It's only for today. And we know what's ours to do today. Right? Remember last week we were told we don't have to worry about the future because worrying about what's going to happen in the future is being held in bondage to doing nothing. To postponement, she says. Being held hostage to postponement. What a beautiful expression. I'm telling you, I love her writing. But anyway, for this moment, we know what we want to do. And we know what's ours to do. And it could be a job that you weren't real crazy to go to earlier this morning. But if you change your attitude toward it and recognize that that is yours to do today, and you go be the best at that job today that you can be, then you have fulfilled your objective for that day. The next objective will come as we complete or as they change. And that's a really cool thing to know, too, that just because we set an objective doesn't mean it has to come to fruition. It doesn't mean it has to complete. All each objective is just a pathway to our next objective. Does that make sense? Okay. What freedom there is in knowing that. I don't have to look back on the things I didn't complete and go, what a slacker. I don't think Shannon's probably never completed it yet. You've completed lots of stuff in your life, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. And those things that I haven't completed got me where I am today, and that's okay. It is not necessary to complete absolutely every objective because sometimes that's all it is just a step toward the next one. In 2009, I lost my job as an accountant. And I had a great job. I loved that job. And for more than a decade, anyone who ever asked me about my job, I said, I have the best job in the world. And then they'd say, well, I'm an accountant. And they'd look at me like, seriously? How can that be the best job in the world? But I'm serious, it was. I went to work every day with the goal of being of service to everyone that I came in contact with in that day. And she reminded me, actually, in this chapter, that being of service is truly the only true objective that our soul knows, is to be of service. And the interesting thing about that is that it can look a million different ways. You don't have to get your tambourine out and go to the corner and, shake it, as my dear friend loves to say. You don't have to do that. You don't necessarily have to quit your job and, go join the Peace Corps. However, we love Sky for doing that very thing and know he will be crazy, crazy successful at it. You can do exactly what you're doing right at this minute and be of service to everyone around you. You don't have to change a thing except your attitude toward being at service, right? So I went to this job every day with that goal in mind. I want to be of service to everyone that I come in contact with today. And I loved that job. I made that job exactly what it was. It expressed me on a daily basis, and it was a fabulous job. And then they closed up shop, moved it all to Texas. The interesting thing is my family and everybody just thought, of course, I would just go get another great accounting job. And I knew immediately that there was no way I was ever going to want to repeat that again. That was its own unique objective. I didn't know what my next one was, but I knew it was to be of service, and so I was going to focus on that objective. And I started teaching autistic children. I loved that work. And I started working with at-risk teenagers, tutoring them in special high schools, and I loved that work. The interesting thing about both of those objectives is that neither one of them, they both took me to a point of knowing that that wasn't it, right? They were just helping me develop my soul. Many, many, many years earlier, I had a wish for a moment. It was just a moment when I saw Phil Schlafer on the platform at the Little White Church down on the corner of Anderson and Orange. I wanted to be a Unity minister. But I took that, wrapped it up, and tossed it over for a couple of decades because, for much, much more reasonable objectives, right? But as I kept doing the work and not going back, and I could have gone and gotten another accounting job, and I look back and think that it was nothing but, honestly, a true connection, moment to moment, with my Christed self that told me that's not what I'm supposed to do. Because it wasn't because that's not what I was being told. I was being told by my child. I was being told by my family. They thought I had lost my mind. They were certain I had lost my mind as I'm driving around in my little scooter going from one, little job to another. And finally, I said, okay, that's really what I want to be. None of these other things are filling the bill. I really want to become a Unity minister. So I started, all right, I'll commit to just doing the prerequisites. And I went to substitute at a high school, which was great. I did all honors classes. That's kind of cheating a little bit. But I did all. It is. Because those AP and honor students, they attend to themselves, right? So we were all doing our homework for other classes together. In those classes. And I got through my prerequisites, and then my objective changed. I still wanted to go become an ordained Unity minister, and I found out I could do a year of it online. So I continued substituting, and I joined and started my 1 year online becoming a Unity minister. Then my objective changed again, because now it was time to move to the village. If I was going to finish that and get a master's in divinity, become an ordained Unity minister. So I packed up my house, and I have to tell you, I did not want to pack up my house and move anywhere. I've gone to this church for 20 years. This is my home. I had not realized until I went to Unity Village that I've never left home before. Ever. How interesting is that? So when I've gone on vacation. I've traveled the world. Don't get me wrong. I've slept in other beds for 2 weeks at a time. But never have I ever left home. So I packed up, left home, was very, very sad, but did my classes, maintained my objective, and then the offer came for me to come back here and do this work. To support the senior minister, the staff, and the whole congregation of my home church. That's a no-brainer. I could not pack up my dorm room fast enough and drive back here. And at the same time, the board told me that they'd support me in whatever manner it would take for me to become an ordained minister. Okay. So I'm still working on that. Then we have this church visioning. And the church has this vision that Orlando will become this education hub for people in the unity movement who want to become unity ministers, who want to become licensed unity teachers, who want to expand their unity understandings and beliefs and their metaphysical spiritual growth. Yeah, I like wherever that came from. That's how I felt about it. That's exactly how I felt about it. And so I set upon that objective. And the staff set upon that objective. And the volunteers started working toward that objective. And in June, we will be having our second spiritual enrichment and education intensive week where people will come, not just from all over Florida or all over the United States, but also come from other countries to come here to Florida to expand their spiritual growth. It'll be our second annual SAE week in June. But without an objective and without a clear understanding of that's where we wanted to go, none of that's going to happen. Because the work behind it is crazy intensive. And the staff here, I just want to, everybody, we are so supported by our staff, by our minister, and by all the volunteers and all of the energy that you bring each week. We are so supported here. We are so blessed. And I think, honestly, I got up to do the first meeting where, I was going to tell the staff how it was all going to be organized, right? And they were so far ahead of me, it was actually kind of funny. I started crying. I was so moved by their desire to make Orlando the only place anybody ever wants to come for education. No. And then in January, if it's meant to be, we will start then having SAE weeks twice a year from then on. So that is an objective that is moving right along. I had another objective, and that was to offer an alternative service to people who needed one. For whatever reason, they weren't able to come on Sundays. They weren't comfortable being in a sanctuary. They weren't sure that they wanted to do church. Whatever their reason, or just because they want to come one more day, which is what a lot of people do, and I so appreciate it. And we started Unity Cafe, Saturday evening, 6 o'clock. Everybody should come and check it out. Put a little plug in there. But honestly, and we don't even know what that is yet, because it changes, and it's going to grow, and it's becoming what it is. And it's becoming the energy of the people who have that objective. It's a wonderful thing. But I think what I really want you to hear is that I keep saying yes. You guys hear that? I keep saying yes, and I'm okay when what I say yes to changes. And it has changed a lot since 2009. It has changed drastically since 2009. Woo, 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 woo. Well, as I just tell you, in a short few weeks, I finished my very last class in Unity Urban Ministerial School. My very last class. Yay. I can't hardly even believe it to be true, but it is. And yeah, it is. And then immediately start my one-year internship as a licensed Unity minister here at CCU. So that when I come back to talk to you on May 3rd, I get to introduce myself for the very first time ever as Reverend Roxanne Graves. Okay. Thank you. The fun part is that it's only temporary. I have a whole nother year. They get another year to check me out and keep testing me and make sure that they really want me to be an ordained minister. But I'm this close, and it's just been from saying yes to the next right thing, from trying as hard as I can to stay focused on what feels true and real to me. What is my next thing to do? What is my objective? And if all I do every day is wake up and say, today, God, let me be the best me I can be today. Let me be of service to everyone that I come in contact with today. That is my daily prayer. God, let me be of service to everyone that I come in contact with today. And when I say it, I don't say it out of some rote practice. I say it because that is truly my objective today. So just for a moment, I'd like you guys just to close your eyes, just for a second. Everybody close their eyes. Take a deep breath. I want you to take a moment and pray right at this moment. Dear God, let me use my divine intelligence today to know that true objective of service, to know what is mine to do today. Let me tap into the divine power of will to see it through. And my prayer for you is that each day you go through your day consciously aware of what you are and what is yours to do.